Foster. Today I'm talking about Spiritism, and welcome. Today is December 19th, 2021. And before I begin, let's have a small prayer. Dear Jesus, thank you for all you've done to us, for us, and all that your angels of mercy have done for us and inspired us. And please, on this holiday season, let everyone filter out all the propaganda and the destructive vibrations and harmonies from the corporate media, and let us turn that off and learn to love our fellow men and women, learn to love and forgive those around us, but be strong in our morals and our convictions, and know that the foundations upon which our institutions are made are solid, and we should preserve the wonderful inheritance that has been given to us by our forefathers. Amen. Okay, today, again, we're talking about the Spiritist Review of 1858, and we're going to have some interesting excerpts from the Spiritist Review, and I will start going over those in just 1 minute. But before I begin that, if you are interested in Spiritism, I would recommend that you take the time, you download or buy the Spirits book codified by Allan Kardec. It's a series of 1,019 questions. The questions were answered to multiple mediums, the same questions as multiple mediums throughout Europe, and Allan Kardec did not codify the answers unless the answers to the questions delivered to him by the mediums were the same or similar. And these were all, of course, arranged by the Spirit of Truth, as was promised to us in the New Testament. And you can see in here, John chapter 14, verse 15 to 17, and John chapter 14, verse 26. But the Consoler, the Holy Spirit, whom the Father will send in my name, will teach you all things and remind you of everything I have said to you. So, and then if you'd like to read more of an outline of Spiritism, I suggest you download my free PDF book, Spiritism 101, The Third Revelation, from my site, nwspiritism.com. Again, that is free on PDF. You can just download it right on the right-hand navigation bar. It's also available, if you like, in Kindle, paperback, and in Audible format. Also, the Spirits book is on my YouTube channel. I read every chapter. It's also on my nwspiritism.com in MP3 and M4. I forgot, it's an Audible format that you can also download that in, so you can listen to it if you like. Okay, let us get to Family Conversations from Beyond the Grave. I will start. One of our subscribers from The Hague, Holland, reports to us the following fact that took place with a group of friends. Let me hide this first so you can read the whole thing. I forgot to hide that. Oh, there we go. Who are carrying out spirit manifestations. This demonstrates, he says, once more and without possible denial, the existence of an intelligent and invisible element acting individually and directly upon us. The spirits announce themselves by the movement of a heavy table and by rapping. We ask their names. These are the deceased Mr. and Mrs. G, very wealthy during their existence. The husband, who actually had the fortune, did not have children, having disinherited his relatives in favor of his wife's relatives, since she died not long before him. Among the 9 people present in this session, there were 2 of the disinherited persons, as well as the husband of one of them. Mr. G was always a poor man and a humble servant to his wife. After her death, her family moved into his house to take care of him. The will was written with a medical testimony declaring that the morbid man was perfectly aware of his actions. The husbands of the disinherited lady, who we shall call Mr. R, spoke in the following terms. How dare you show up here after a scandalous will you left? Later, exasperating even further, he ended up swearing at them. The table was then raised and the lamp thrown at the man's head with impact. He then apologized, asking for the reason of their presence at that session. So here we have a guy who just died. He just inherited the man at the wife at the the man at the table. And of course, money makes great passions. We came to, and then this is what the spirits say. We came to explain to you the reasons for our contact. The answers are given by means of hits on the specific letters of the alphabet. Knowing the ineptitude of the husband, Mr. R abruptly asked him to leave, allowing his wife to speak, who he would then listen. Then the spirit of Mrs. G said that Mrs. R and her sister were rich enough and could go without their part in the inheritance, that others were evil and others, in the end, should suffer that trial, that due to those reasons the fortunes was more adequate to her own family. Mr. R was not satisfied with the explanation, and threw up his rage with a scolding slander. Then the table was violently agitated, jumped, heavily stomped on the floor, and once again the lamp was thrown at Mr. R's head. So the spirit should never do that. So this is not a high spirit telling them why they didn't do it. They were probably instructed not to give them the full inheritance. But let's carry on and read. Money is always a dividing element. The spirit calmed down and tried to persuade the others that after her death, this is the man's woman, she was informed that a superior spirit had dictated the last will and testament. Mr. R and the ladies, realizing the futility of arguing any further, forgave one another. Soon the table rose near Mr. R and smoothly landed on his chest as if embracing him. The two ladies received the same demonstration of appreciation. Then the table presented a strong vibration. Once the understanding was established, the spirit said she was sorry for the actual hair, saying she would end up crazy anyway. Interesting, so she knew the future. But she should not have revealed that. Still, Mr. R kindly reprimanded her for not having done any good in life when she was gifted by such a great fortune, adding that she was not missed by anybody. Yes, said the spirit, there is a poor widow residing at something street who sometimes thinks of me, and I have from time to time given her food, clothes, and heat. So she defended herself. Since the spirit had not provided the name of the poor woman, one of those present looked for the indicated address. And it's still worthwhile noticing is that the fact after the death of Mrs. G, the poor lady had changed addresses. The latest was the one indicated by the spirit. So she changed address, and they gave them the correct address. So it shows you interesting. Okay. Now, the second is the death of St. Louis, the 11th. Now, he is also called St. Louis. Okay, no. And he does a lot of moral dissertations. In fact, there will be a moral dissertation by St. Louis after this. And he never said he was a saint, right? He said that he was not that nice of a person, but he's learned a lot, and he's probably improved a lot since he was here on Earth. In fact, I forgot what year he was at Earth. I'll have to look that up on another time. Let me look that up real quick. Okay, no. We draw the reader's attention to the observations made I'll look him up, see what year he was. The 11th. Oh. Should have been prepared, I probably. Okay. He was 1461, King of France in 1461 to 1483. My apologies. In fact, let me show him on the screen so you can see what he is writing. Let me just take this off for 1 second. Let me hide this. It's always good to know. It's just interesting to see what spirit is actually talking. So this is the picture of Louis the 11th. called Louis the Prudent, from King of France from 1461 to 1483. So he actually entered into open rebellion against his father in a short-lived revolt, and King forgave his rebellious vassals. So this is, he was, he's a typical inter-family squabble. Just this period of time of Europe in the Middle Ages, even before that time, it was just more like a bunch of mafia dons leading countries in Europe. They were not honorable people. They were power hungry. They're not people who you would want as your neighbors in essence. Okay, let's bring the PDF back up. There we go. Now let's read about St. Louis. Okay. I then dictated my last wishes and sent all of those who surrounded me to be near the young king. I was left alone, only having my confessor, Francisco de Paula, the Dame and Courtier, with me. Francisco gave me a touching exhortation. It seemed that each of his words erased my vices and that nature would have reestablished its course. I felt relieved, starting to reestablish some hope in God's clemency. I was given the last sacraments with a resigned and firm piety. I would repeat every time, Our Good Lady of Embrun, my good lady, help me. On Tuesday, August 30th, I fell ill again. Everyone left me for dead. Oliver, Le Dame, and Courtier, feeling the public execration, remained by my deathbed, since they had no alternative, meaning that if they left him, they would have been looked down upon. Soon I completely recovered consciousness. I raised, sat down on my bed, and looked around. Nobody from my family was there. No friendly hand to hold mine at such a supreme moment to lessen my agony in a final contact. At that very moment, my children might be playing while their father was dying. Nobody thought that the guilty ones could still count on an understanding heart. I tried to hear a muffled sobbing, but I only heard the laughs of the two miserable ones still by my side. Well, these are how, these people who use power, how they die. In one of the corners of the room, I saw my favorite greyhound dog dying of age. My heart exhilarated in happiness as I still had a friend, a being that liked me. I signaled with my hand. The old hunter dog dragged himself toward my bed, licking my agonizing hand. Oliver noticed the move. He suddenly stood up, cursing and hitting the unfortunate dog with a baton to see her dead. At death, my only friend gave me a long and painful look. Oliver violently pushed me back to the bed. I let go of my body and delivered my guilty soul to God. There you go. That's the inside story of his death. Now, isn't that just, it's sad and interesting, and it just shows you, what happens. Okay. Let's go on to the next. Moral dissertation dictated by St. Louis to Miss Hermine Dufault. I probably pronounced that wrong. Dufault. And here is his moral dissertation. A man left very early in the morning, going to the marketplace to hire workers. Well, there he saw two common men sitting down with their arms crossed. He then approached one and said, "What are you doing?" The man responded, "I have no work." The one who was looking for workers then said, "Take your tool and come to my field by the side of the mountain where the southern wind blows. You will cut the heathers and rotate the soil until it gets dark. The task is tough, but you shall earn a good salary." The man of the people took his hoe onto his shoulder, and thankful for that, with all his heart. Since hearing this, the other worker stood up and said while approaching the owner, "Sir, let me go and also work in the field." Having asked both men to follow him, he marched ahead, leading the way. Later, arriving at the foothill, he split the work in two and left. As soon as the owner left, the last worker to be hired set the bushes on fire on his assigned spot on the land, turning the soil with his hoe. The sweat poured from his face under the scorching sun. The other worker imitated him, moaning in the beginning, but soon stopping, sticking the hole in the ground, sitting by the fellow's side, watching him. Why have we seen that? Sometime during the afternoon, the owner arrives to examine the work. Calling the hard worker, he congratulated him, saying, "You worked well. Here is your payment." He then sent him off, giving him a silver coin. The other man approached, demanding his payment. But then the owner said, "Lazy man, my bread will not feed your hunger, as you left untouched the piece of land I entrusted you. It is not fair that the one who did nothing be paid as the one who worked well." And then he left, not giving the man anything. I tell you, I'm keep reading here, that neither the strength nor the intelligence of the spirit was given to man to spend his days in idleness, but to be useful to his neighbors. Well, the one whose hands are empty and idle, spirit shall be punished, having to restart his job. Truly, I tell you, when his time comes, his life will be put aside as something useless. Understand this as a comparison. Who among you, having a fruitless tree in the orchard, will not tell the servant, "Take that tree down and throw it into the fire, for its branches are sterile"? Well, the tree will be cut down for its unfruitfulness. Also, the life of the lazy one will be thrown into the garbage, for have been sterile as well as for the good deeds. And that's why we're on earth. We're on earth. We're not on earth to have a vacation. We're not on earth to just sit here and do nothing. We are on earth to actually learn and improve ourselves, to be a better person, to grow. And that's important. Okay, and before I begin, I just want to say I was wrong on calling Louis the 11th the saint. I confused those two. It was Louis the Ninth, the St. Louis. So the one who is doing this page, the moral dissertation, is Louis the Ninth, and he was from 1214 to 1270. In fact, let me bring that page up. I want to correct that mistake here because I was wrong on that, and I don't want to have everyone be confused. So Louis the 11th was the one he talked about on his deathbed, and Louis the 9th is the one who talked about the moral dissertation of what we just read. And Louis the Ninth was called Saint Louis, or Louis the Saint, and he was king of France from 1226 to 1270. So we have within interesting enough, let me bring this picture up here better. We have two kings who've talked to spiritist mediums. So this shows you that both kings, is your life is how you make it. So anyway, I just want to make sure that was known for everybody. Okay, let's carry on. So this is from St. Louis. So pardon me for my previous error. So again, he's telling us, if you have a tree in the orchard that is without fruit, cut it down. What use is it? And we've all seen this. We've all seen people who work. Let me put it this way. When your child is small, 8 or 9, whatever, and you say, "Go clean your room," they will spend more time telling you why they shouldn't clean the room than it would take to clean the room. Now, hopefully, when they get older, they learn 5 minutes, my room's clean. It's not a big deal. And they learn that work ethic. They learn that you have to work. But there are many, and this is the unfortunate part within our society, which governments give people money for doing absolutely nothing, which is it's misdirected by a large part of our society thinking that we're doing well to those people. We're actually doing a disservice by rewarding idleness, because that's not why we're on earth. We're on earth to learn, to work for our livelihood, to work for our living, and to take time from that work to learn and study spirituality, to improve ourselves as a person. It's all part of the educational system that we're here on earth. We're not This is not a 2 week vacation where we're doing, where we're just sitting drinking margaritas under the umbrella. That's not why we're on earth. We're here to improve our character and our personality, and to make basic changes by rewiring our brain. And by rewiring our brain, it means we have to be active, and we have to be intellectually curious, because that's what the spirit world wants. Think about what they really want for in heaven. Heaven is almost like, it's like when you go to heaven, they want people that are going to keep learning, because you go to different colleges at different levels, and you only graduate after you get more wisdom about the spirit world, and you improve your character and personality. And that part of it is why you need to go. You don't absolutely have to go, but you should go to earth and incarnate, because that's the best way that you'll be given the stimuli to have the deep drama you need in order to make substantive changes to your rewiring your brain and changing your character and personality for the better. So that is an important part and parcel of what we are here for, and why we need to be on earth and do what we need to do. Get on with the program, do our duty, be honorable, feed our family, help our family, give them emotional support, give them educational support, help other spirits, help our neighbors. And especially in this time of this Christmas season, we need to recognize the importance of working together and making things better. Now, that doesn't mean that we are meek. Just like, when Jesus said, the meek shall inherit the earth. When Jesus said the word meek, what he meant was very polite yet focused individuals. And so what he didn't mean was that you just sit there and you let anybody walk over you. That instead of reacting in anger and losing your temper and unleashing these primitive emotions, you use your indignation and you focus what you want done. And you focus at saying, no, this is what you need to do. This is, or someone's insulted you, or if no, I'm not going to take that insult. That's not acceptable here. And this is why it's not acceptable. And you either have to leave my house, or whatever the situation is. You don't have to just take whatever anyone dishes out at you, but you don't lose your temper. You don't just exude primitive emotions, hate, envy, anger, all of that, because that just swirls around and makes everyone upset. But once you show and demonstrate your willpower and your focus, and you remain calm and cool, then you are the ones that is in charge of the situation. Now, why do we need to do that? Well, because as spirits become higher in the levels of heaven, and as you graduate from the levels of heaven surrounding the earth, you become a productive member of the spirit society. And as a productive member, you're given jobs to do. You maybe go to other planets, and you help guide the progression of different races and different cultures, different plants, different animals, the evolution of these. You are given real responsibility. Right now, we're in school. We're like in an elementary school. We're still pretty unruly kids, and we need to learn to control ourselves. And why do we need to learn to control ourselves? Is because in heaven, thought is action. When you think of something, something happens. When there are buildings and palaces and the whole just scenery and environments of mountains and trees and rivers, those were all created by thought, by superior spirits, and you will be part of that one day. So this was a relatively short. I didn't want to go too long on our Christmas holiday, but I wanted to have everyone uh, give a little bit of a talk. And then again, if you are interested in Spiritism, I suggest you read my book, The Spirit Realm. Spiritism has revealed the reality of our existence. And I go through from all the previous 14 books I've written, and and here I just bring it together from my own research, uh, information from mediums meetings, from Spiritist literature by Chico Xavier, Allan Kardec, of course, Leon Denis, Divaldo Franco, Yvonne Pereira, and talks by people who knew and were around Chico Xavier, that great Brazilian medium. So, and I talk about what is the spirit realm, what is the physical realm. The physical realm came after the spirit realm. What is it? Basically, it is a logical concept. You yourself are a logical concept. You are an encapsulation of intelligence that can roam through the spirit realm according to your level. So I talk all about it. I talk about Jesus and his role. I talk about how you're guided, what are the powers and attributes of spirits, and where you are going. Anyway, I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas holiday, because this is December 19th. We just have a short time before Christmas Day itself. And